Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Now, trying to understand this serpent power or the Naga Shakti, which is within us to help us with our own evolution and gaining the higher states of consciousness and to finally attain liberation. So, here I will try to briefly touch on Kundalini. If you see this picture of the Kundalini, it is visualized as two snakes, Ida and Pingala, as two energy channels that run along the spine, and starting at the base of the spine with the coiled power of this Naga Shakti. So we then realize that these channels are associated with masculine and feminine energies respectively. So this supreme spiritual energy is referred to as Adi Shakti, which is lying dormant and coiled 3.5 times around Muladhara chakra at the base of the spine, subtle spine. According to the Goraksha Samhita, once awakened, the Kundalini Shakti is carried through Sushamna like thread through the needle, activating the chakras in succession. So here I am not going to speak in detail about these chakras and all. I just want to refer to this, be contained to this, this Shakti, the serpent power called the Kundalini. The word Kundalini is derived from the Sanskrit word Kundal, which means coiled up. And in Tantra Yoga, Kundalini is the aspect of Adi Shakti, the divine female energy, and it is inseparable from Shiva. And Kundalini is defined as the essential potentiality of our being, which upon awakening opens us to the cosmic energy and then to the infinite self. We have to understand that Kundalini has to be awakened for self-realization to happen. Now in the yoga text, this is clearly defined that Kundalini is coiled like a snake 3.5 times, and it represents infinity without any ending, and which is capable of moving towards greater and greater expansion. It reminds us that this Kundalini Shakti represents our own infinite nature, and once awakened, this Kundalini rises upward along the spine and it makes its way through each chakra, clearing any blocked energy and begins to reveal our greatest truths. It continues its upward journey, bringing greater and greater balance in all these chakras until eventually it reaches the crown. When this potent Kundalini energy has reached the crown chakra, a deep experience of unity occurs and our consciousness expands. And this is where we experience our infinite, limitless nature. We call it the Nirvikalpa or the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Here it is said this Kundalini Shakti merges with Shiva, the Paramatma, the infinite, transcendental, eternal consciousness, and there is oneness, and all that there is the Nirvikalpa, the pure absolute consciousness. And this is the dawn of the self-realization, where self is revealing itself to itself by itself. So the repeated experience of this pure consciousness is then what makes it permanent and then develops it into the cosmic consciousness. So for this, the Kundalini has to rise all the time and go up to the crown chakra and give the experience of that Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So here when this Kundalini is traveling like this, then people who have experienced this Nirvikalpa Samadhi and continue to experience this Nirvikalpa Samadhi in the process of developing the cosmic consciousness and further the God consciousness, begin to understand this as the river of energy. It keeps going, flowing up and down. But once the Nirvikalpa Samadhi is established, then it doesn't really come down all the way to the Mooladhara. It remains somewhere in between, and immediately it starts raising to the Sahasrara crown chakra. So these are all on an experiential level, so I would not go into any details because one has to experience and see where it settles for anyone and how that progression is coming. In the end, all I want to say is, as the Kundalini is rising and it touches the different chakras and the different obstacles are removed and the purification in the chakras is happening, there is different levels of happiness, different levels of achievement and capabilities and possibilities are experienced. And finally, I want to say, Maharshi has given the TM Siddhis technique to make sure that this Kundalini energy is opened and experienced in a very gentle, gradual, and I would say safe way. Because you can see in the literature that quick rising of the Kundalini, quickly trying to awaken it, can have its side effects and impacts. And Maharishiji tried very hard to avoid these things. And he brought on the Siddhis program in a very elaborate way to make the journey more pleasant. So I will end here, trying to bring more clarification of this, the divine Shakti, the serpent power, which is within us and which can help us with our transformation and liberation. Jai Gurudev, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu.